Game face. Game face. Game day. Good afternoon, everyone. We're at 1:29, almost 1:30. So I'm going to call our regular council of October 10th, 2023 to order. We have an agenda in front of us. Mr. Coleman, are there any additions or deletions?
No additions or deletions from administration, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Going to look for someone to move as presented. Councillor Wanchuk, thank you. Comments, questions? All in favor? Unanimous. We have minutes of our September 26, 2023 regular council meeting. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you. Just a question on that. Motion 203-23. There's a plan that's still showing blank. I'm just questioning if that should have been filled in.
That was the one where that was the.
It's for undeveloped road.
Okay, so it's a road closure, Madam Chair, so that number will be filled in once we get the
Alberta
transportation.
Okay, I could move as well.
Moving as being correct. Councillor Lewis, comments, questions, errors or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is unanimous. We have an opportunity at the beginning of every meeting for anybody from the public who would like to address council on an item that is not on the agenda can do so now. I am seeing no one move forward and everyone looks like staff in the back. So we will move on to service awards. We have two this afternoon. Mr. Coleman is doing both.
Try standing and hopefully the mic catches me. So, Madam Chair, members of council, it's my pleasure today to recognize 5 years of service for Kevin Lefebvre, our fire chief. Kevin is graciously dressed up in his uniform, which he wears proudly on behalf of Leduc County. For Kevin, and you started your career here a long time ago as a paid on call and came back to us in the fire chief position. Kevin has not sat still this last 5 years. We've built a couple fire halls. We brought in some new equipment and we're embarking on a real change in our philosophy and our way of doing fire services here and taking over fire services at EIA and moving towards a full-time fire service. So Kevin brings enthusiasm, energy, and a positive attitude to work every day. He is a service-oriented individual that represents us in a very honorable, admirable way. So it's my pleasure, Kevin, to recognize your 5 years of service. Thank you.
Congratulations, Kevin. On behalf of council, thank you for the service that you do for our residents and our businesses every day. We really appreciate it, and it's been great to get to know you.
Not unlike my career here in 1982, the last 5 years.
And it just goes faster. Thank you.
Our second recognition today is Garrett Broadbent, 15 years of service. So Garrett was here before I got here. So I've known Garrett a long time, and I have the privilege of Garrett reports directly to me in his capacity as our director of roads and ag services. So this is what I know about Garrett. He wears this county through and through. He represents us every day in such a professional way. He cares about the people that he serves, his employees, deeply, and is a constant champion for their wants and desires and issues and concerns. The flip side of that is he does the same thing for our residents. Garrett understands what it means to serve in municipal government, what it means to be a servant to the people. And he truly represents Leduc County, represents me, represents council, represents all of us. And he brings that enthusiasm, not only in the work he does day to day, but through his interactions in his leadership role at the senior management table. He brings a different perspective that I think makes us a better team. So it's a pleasure working with you, Garrett, and look forward to many more years.
I don't. step away. Again, on behalf of Council Garrett, thank you. What Mr. Coleman said is absolutely true. There's not been a time when I haven't phoned you, texted you, asked you for help. The help gets done. You close the loop. You let me know. Residents are happy with how you dealt with them, which is really important from our perspective. And I'll never forget my first Ag Service Board meeting, and you came in and you and Aaron both had ties on and you were professional. It's like, who are these guys? And we need to have more of them. So again, your professionalism, your customer service, your knowledge of how to work in a rural municipality, second to none. We are so grateful. Thank you for 15 minutes. Okay, with that, Mr. Coleman, can we go to 6A, which is the direct control permit? That's not a timed item, correct? And I believe Ms. Haverland is here.
It's not a timed item, Manager.
Ms. Haverland will do the direct control permit, and then we'll go to 5A afterwards, which is the land use bylaw. And Ms. Haverland, the floor is yours when you are ready. You probably have to switch over your computer. So again, we're going to number 6A, direct control permit.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Council. Planning and Development are bringing forth a direct control development permit application for consideration this afternoon. This application is located just south of Highway 625. It is east of Nisku on Range Road 244. The subject property was redistricted back in July of 2023 from agricultural to direct control, a portion of the site. The whole entire site is 79 acres and a portion, 27.65 acres was redistricted to direct control. This referral was taken place for this development application. We did circulate it to 84 adjacent landowners. We received no comments submitted in writing. We did receive one phone call, and that was just with respect to understanding our process of why the application is coming forward again and explaining it was a land amendment last time, and now it's the permit application in front of us. It gives you an idea of the aerial site, showing the yard and the facility to the eastern area. The direct control that governs this site is DC 033. The uses that we are considering today under the development permit application are accessory building, campground, market garden, and the resort recreational facility. So this application is for a resort recreational facility extension. It's not an extension, it's actually a temporary permit that has expired, requesting to reapprove, seek a reapproval for that facility, a market garden, a sauna, and campground, which would contain 6 cabins. This is a proposed site and uses. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but I believe everyone has this in their package as well. The resort recreation facility is numbers 1, 2, 5, 3, and 6. And the campground is on the western side, it's number 8. That's the little purple buildings. The market garden is number 4, which is green. And the sauna is mixed in there around number 7. To give you an idea of what the property looks like, it does have a locked fence to the facility. And these are the buildings that are under the resort recreational facility. This is the parking lot, the facility, building number 1, an outdoor area, the outdoor ceremony site, as well as another outdoor area. 2 sea cans that were converted to the facility as well. And the corner picture just gives you the inside of the building. They use this mostly for training and seminars. And then an accessory development that is used for the outdoor recreational facility as well. In addition to that, they are seeking a campground, 6 cabins. 1 does exist on site currently today. And this is past approvals, just to give you an idea. The domes that are on site, there was a permit in 2022, and it's a temporary 2-year permit, which would expire as of next year. As well as the commercial greenhouse is not temporary, but to give you an idea of what that looks like. And then, of course, the horticultural that's on site. That gives the agricultural value business to this facility. So in review of this application within the planning documents, the Edmonton Metro Plan Regional Growth Plan does promote economic competitiveness, growth, that employment growth on agricultural lands for agricultural purposes, as well as it does promote diversification and other uses which are promoted to assist the agricultural compatibility. The RAMP Regional Agricultural Master Plan, the application is in support as it does have policies which do support non-agricultural land uses to be minimized. The lands are within the rural area policy tier in the growth plan and may include some areas within the metropolitan area. Agricultural uses, agricultural related uses, and value agricultural uses are all supported within this area. And the municipal development plan, there is value added agricultural production and other business directly related to the agricultural sector, which are encouraged in agricultural hubs in rural county, as well as it does encourage a wide range of employment, development, and growth of agricultural-based businesses. The land use bylaw, of course, the direct control district was created unique for this area to support this operation, which does have 2 defined uses, of course, the resort recreational facility, which does accommodate their seminars and their training events that they like to host, as well as market garden was added. So the subject property is located, I said, Highway 625 South. It is also adjacent to the city of Beaumont, and City of Beaumont had no concerns with the land amendment application at the time, and they did not respond to the development permit application. The business has completed the following improvements. They have several hundred trees, bushes. They've restored old buildings, built sea can containers into cafes, local marketplace, created multiple photo sites. They have garden walks, growing spaces, greenhouses, glamping, and then, of course, the previous wedding event facility. The business is proposing to host new continued weddings and celebrations, corporate meetings, retreats, farm to table dinners and seminars and craft workshops. I did give a history of the permits within the report. Two permits that are important are that the geodomes do have only a 2-year temporary approval, which expire next year. And the existing rural wedding agricultural event facility has since expired. That's why they seek approval and we went to a direct control district. So with that, planning and development did compare it to all the policies and it did meet the required policies. Now, we are recommending approval of this application subject to the conditions that are within the report. I would like to highlight a couple of the conditions that I think are important for this development. And that is it is only for the resort recreational facility. It's for the market garden, the sauna, and the 6 cabins. It is also important that the landowner, one of the conditions is they submit a new traffic impact assessment prior to September 23rd, 2024. They are not seeking any additional hours or expansion at this time, and their valid transportation permit expires as of September 23rd, 2024. So it would align within the 1-year approval next year. Therefore, the development permit shall be valid only for 1 year. And the applicants are in favor of that, as we can bring all the permits that they have that are temporary into a consistent pattern in recommending approvals at one time. Hours of operation shall be what they requested, since we had no adjacent landowner concerns. And they are on the screen, of course, in your package as well. So with that, planning and development do recommend approval of this application.
Thank you very much, Ms. Haberland, for your presentation. I will open the floor for any questions for administration on this application. Go ahead, Councillor Lewis.
Thank you. Can you tell me, so the traffic impact assessments that's due September 2024 becomes the same type of time as the approval. So if they have not completed that, they would not get approval of the permit when they go to renew it?
So through the chair, yes, they did a traffic impact assessment before, and both Alberta Transportation gave them the roadside development permit to September 23rd, as well as advised them a new TIA will be required prior to that date, and they are aware of that.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Verdi?
Just to clarify for the adjacent landowners, if this does turn out to be noisy or a nuisance to the adjacent landowners, the authority has the ability to revoke the development permit within 1 year. Is that correct?
So through the chair, that is the ultimate purpose of why we go to direct control, is it gives council's discretion to review the conditions every year, whether it's a 1 year or 2 year, and allows them to either revoke a permit or add additional conditions to help mitigate any concerns that might have come up over that year.
Thank you. Ms. Haberland, part of this has been operating for a while. Have we had many complaints from residents with the current operation?
So through the chair, the county has received no complaints regarding this operation. I should bring up that it has taken some time to work through some non-compliance issues of converting agricultural buildings into now public buildings. They are working with safety codes on that. And of course, they will continue to have to obtain the appropriate safety code permits.
Okay, well, thank you. Any further questions or debate? Looking for a motion to be put on the floor? Councillor Lewis? You don't have to read all the conditions.
Do
You do not.
Oh.
Councillor Lewis going to put on the floor to approve development permit D 23-059, subject to the following conditions, which are both in the package and on the screen, but we are not going to read through right at this time. So we have a motion on the floor right now. Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Councillor Smith, debate.
I'll be supporting it today. Again, there has been not a lot of opposition, not a lot of letters to come in to complain, which would definitely become part of the decision making. They are operating, they look like they are following through. And again, with not a lot of concerns coming from the neighbor and with a time limit on this, I would definitely be recommending Councillor Lewis's recommendation today.
Thank you. I too will be supporting the motion. This is a great opportunity for people to actually have an opportunity with the gardens, to be outside of both the city of Edmonton, the city of Beaumont, and have a little bit of experience understanding how agriculture works for that part of it. And I think that's a really valuable experience for people. Any other comments, questions, or debate? I am seeing none. I will call the question. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. And good luck for your next year. On to our 145. We're going back to 5A, which is a public hearing. It is 1:50, so I will call the public hearing to order at 1:50. My name is Mayor DeBlanco, and I'll chair the public hearing. All questions and comments shall be directed through me. Council is here to listen to the information presented and make a decision on the matter that is the subject of the hearing, which is to amend Leduc County Land Use Bylaw number 7-08, re LA 23-003 from residential urban RU2 district to commercial 1 C1 district within the hamlet of New Sarepta. This is a formal hearing and not a debate. Everyone wishing to speak who has pre-registered will be given an opportunity to speak once to the matter as called on by myself, the chair. Each presenter must state his or her full name, address, their interest in the matter, and whether they are in support or non-support. Individuals who do not identify themselves will not be given an opportunity to speak, and each presenter is to sign in on the form located at the presenter table. Presenters are asked to stay within a 5-minute time limit on their presentation and are encouraged when speaking to keep their presentation to the point and refrain from restating points raised by previous speakers if possible. If new presentation materials are provided, you may be required to email a copy to the legislative coordinator. And with that, I will call upon Ms. Haverland to introduce the subject of the hearing. Ms. Haverland, the floor is yours.
The Planning and Development bring forth a land amendment application that has been submitted. At the time it was submitted by Leduc County, our manager of assessment. Since then, these lands have transferred sale and they are owned by a private landowner, and the landowner has provided the county with authorization to continue with this land amendment. So the subject parcel, as Tani had read, is currently located within the hamlet of New Sarepta. It is a 1.02 acre lot, and it is currently zoned residential urban RU2. Our recommendation that we're bringing forth today is that council give first, second, and third reading to the proposed bylaw. The land amendment itself is to redistrict these lots, this lands from RU2 to the C1 district, which is a commercial 1 district. The proposed redistricting will allow for 2 more uses to be added to the commercial 1 land use district, which is adult care facility, and means an adult residential care facility that provides room, board, and personal services. And dwelling apartment means a room or suite of rooms designed as a residence and generally located in a building occupied more than 1 dwelling. So we have 2 amendments, one redistricting the lot itself from RU2 to C1 and adding 2 additional land uses into the C1 district. Just to give you an idea, the New Sarepta area structure plan that is overarching of these lands does show future mixed commercial. Therefore, this amendment does fit within the new Sarepta area structure plan. I put this map in here just to show you all the land uses right now within New Sarepta and how blue they are. There's a number of land uses from commercial 1, C1 to RU1, RU2, RU3. A little bit of history that when we adopted the new Sarepta area structure plan in 2014, we did not at that time redistrict the lands until we repealed the new Sarepta land use bylaw, which was done in 2018. To try to not create any non-conformance. Some lots were left with existing districts, which we added to our land use bylaw at the time, and some of the lands were rezoned from the new Sarepta land use bylaw. And I'll just go ahead to the next screen just to give you an idea. And I put this in just for you could see the actual colors beforehand, before we change them all to different shades of blue. So this lot itself does actually sit within a commercial district. You can clearly see that it was an R1A residential at the time, which is now RU2, and it is surrounded by commercial. So just going back to that lot, just within our land use bylaw zoning map today, like I said, it does fit within the area. It is surrounded by current residential urban 2 lots. However, within that block itself on Center Avenue, they are all commercial 1. This is just an aerial of the view, as well as just a closer land use shot of the map, just to show you the current districts around the lot that is being redistricted today. So what we have in front of us, of course, is to eliminate the RU2 district off this parcel and to a C1 commercial district. There is no other C1 commercial land use districts in Leduc County. They only exist right now in New Sarepta. Therefore, we will not be impacting any other developments within the county. There is a purpose. They have requested to add dwelling apartments and adult care facility. The proposed uses they are looking at in the future was personal and healthcare service, dwelling apartments, and adult care facility. Of course, the residential urban 2 district just did not accommodate any of those uses. Therefore, we felt going to the C1 district would at least accommodate personal and healthcare services already in there, which is a permitted use. And then adding the other 2 uses as dwelling apartment and adult care facility. Making note that dwelling detached is still a discretionary use within the commercial district. Therefore, it does not impact anybody that may want to continue to have a dwelling in that area. Within policy, it does meet the new Sarepta area structure plan, as well as it does meet the municipal development plan, as it does identify New Sarepta as a growth hamlet. Therefore, administration, like I said, we are recommending first, second, and third reading of this bylaw today, as we do feel that it does allow for the existing family residential developments to still be applied for. However, it will provide more mixed use of development of retail and service outlets, as well as accommodating that apartment and personal health care service and adult care facility, which is what the new landowner is seeking. With that, I open the floor to questions.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions of clarification? At this time, we will debate the item after we close the public hearing. This is just an opportunity for questions. I am seeing none. My question is more of a rhetorical one. Ms. Haverland. So this really fits in with what we see as the future for New Sarepta, fits in with the new plan, and it's really just reorganizing and moving forward with what actually council has as a vision for this area.
Through the chair, yes, it does. And as applications come forward up until the new land use bylaw is in effect, we will continue to take them forward as a one-on-one to bring the lands up to what the area structure plan says.
Okay. And Mr. Everland, my last question is, we just approved the sale of this property. Was that just last month or in August, if you can recall? Looking back, I don't believe it was more than 6 weeks ago, Mr.
Madam Chair, is in September.
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 So again,
Recently.
when we're looking at trying to accommodate growth in the county, we've approved a sale in September. This will take care of the rezoning and allow development to happen absolutely at lightning speed, which I think kudos to our administration for moving forward on that. Any other questions? I'm sorry, that was more of a comment. I snuck it in as a rhetorical question, but it really was a comment. If not, Mr. Coleman, was there any items that came in, any more correspondence since the agenda package?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
There was none. I see, Ms. Gavin, we have no registered speakers. Is that correct? I will call 3 times for any speakers. I don't see anyone who isn't administration currently in the gallery, but I will call anybody wishing to speak on this item. Second time, third time, no one. Any further comments, Ms. Haverland?
Through the chair, I should add that we did circulate this application to 24 residents within New Sarepta, and we did receive 1 set of comments that were all that was positive, that they were excited something new was coming.
All right, that is great news. Thank you very much. With that, I will conclude our public hearing at 2:01 p.m. and I will open the floor for debate and motions, or sorry, looking for first, second, and third reading on the bylaw. Councillor Smith?
Again, we've been working on this for a while to try to get this redeveloped and get some exciting, I guess, some housing, which is much needed, as well as health services in the community. Again, I agree with you. The speed that we've gone through has been due diligence, but also letting our developers move forward. So getting ready to move into debate, I would be prepared to move the first reading to the proposed bylaw to redistrict 1.02 acres of land. Do you want me to read it all in?
Is that necessary, Mr. Coleman? No.
Okay, so moving first reading on the proposed recommendation today.
Thank you. All right, motions on the floor. Councillor Lewis.
I will support this. This is great news for New Sarepta and surrounding communities as well. This is a step in the right direction for employment, for development, for new residents. So I will support this today.
Thank you. All right, I'm seeing no other hands up for any questions or debate, so I will call the question. All in favor? It's unanimous. Looking for someone to move second reading. Councillor Lewis will move second reading. Comments, questions, or debate? Just another comment, and it's another kudos to our administrative staff for working so quickly, both through, I think it went through assessment and then planning. It was not just a single effort. It was a multi-disciplinary effort that got us to this point, which will perhaps allow the applicant to start work while we still have a bit of a construction season, and that is really good news. Call the question on second reading. All in favor? Unanimous. We need to go to third reading, a motion to go to third reading on the same day. Councillor Balazer. All in favor? And third reading. Councillor Wanchuk, thank you. Any final comments, questions, debate? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. And we're going to move back down to 6B, which is proclamation of Small Business Week. All right. Mr. Anderson, whenever you are ready, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of council. I'm here today to make a recommendation to council that the week of October 15th to 21st, 2023 be proclaimed as Small Business Week in Leduc County. Small Business Week is a national celebration started by the Business Development Bank of Canada to celebrate businesses with employees numbering less than 100. As such, economic development would like to celebrate the over 750 small businesses that call Leduc County home by having the mayor publicly celebrate them with a proclamation.
Okay, if there's no questions, I think this is pretty straightforward and something absolutely to celebrate. Look for someone to make the recommended motion that we proclaim October 15th to 21st, Small Business Week, and then I will read in the proclamation. Councillor Scobie will move that. Comments, questions, all in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. And I will read in the proclamation. For Small Business Week, whereas Small Business Week is a national celebration of Canada's entrepreneurs and small to medium enterprises, and whereas Leduc County recognizes that these businesses are the backbone of the economic and social well-being of our communities, and whereas with 726,000 entrepreneurs, small business is big in Canada. And with more than 1.2 million small and medium-sized businesses across Canada, with 98% of businesses with less than 100 employees, and whereas together they help fuel our economic spirit, by contributing 52% of the country's gross domestic product, and whereas Leduc County wants to recognize and celebrate the 750 small businesses in our municipality. And now, therefore, on behalf of council, I, Mayor Tanya DeBlanco of Leduc County, do hereby proclaim the week of October 15th to 21st, 2023 to be Small Business Week in the County of Leduc, dated today, October 10th, 2023. Well done. Go out and support a small business today. Thank you. On to our next item, which is 6C, Urban Standards Bylaw 1422, Cost Recovery Review. And we have Mr. Nelson providing the report. Whenever you are ready, Mr. Nelson, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Council. Before you is a report that I've put together outlining some of the activities that have happened since all up until today. So let me review some of that information. We are recommending at this point that the appellant's request to be dismissed, including the MGA order to comply, which she also proposed to have dismissed. And I'll come back to that recommendation in a moment as well. The background here is quite simple. Last year, on August 23rd, the Urban Standards Bylaw was passed by this council. Following that, during the winter, on February 8th, the information letter that was presented in your package was circulated to all the residents, both the people that live and have occupied lands and the vacant lands as well, received some information, just giving general updates about the bylaw itself. It's a brand new bylaw. I should say a brand new amended bylaw with brand new regulations in it. It's one of a kind in our region. So we wanted to make sure that we circulated that to them in advance. And we received no questions other than a few parking issues. But nothing else, nothing involving the care of land itself. On June 30th was the due date for the first cutting and cleaning of the vacant lots, which is part of the regulations that were outlined in the Urban Standards Bylaw. And that included the Diamond Estates, Lucas Estates, New Sarepta, and Royal Oaks. So we mailed 37 Municipal Government Act orders under Section 545 of the MGA. And those were the lots that had not complied to that point. We received no appeals, either official or otherwise, by the due date of July 15th. I should advise that under the Interpretations Act, those were legally served by mail as well. July 17th, as we mentioned in the same notice that of the MGA order and the notice of entry, we gave notice of entry in the same letter. The week of July 17th, we sent our contractor there to cut and in some cases clean lots the number of lots was reduced to 15 at that point. So we had some fairly good compliance, except for those 15. On July 20th, we received an invoice for that work that was completed on those 15 lots. And on August 4th, we mailed out invoices and explanation letters to all 15 landowners. August 29th, Enforcement Services met with the appellant in this case personally. She had a number of emails and phone calls that had a lot of questions. So I thought it would be pertinent to meet that person. And we had a 90-minute meeting providing all the details that I'm outlining here. She also provided some information with regards to her apparent lack of receipt of some of those notices. I can advise that the notices, I should say the information that we sent on February 8th did have an old address, but the MGA order and the notice of entry was accurate because she had changed her address, and we found the correct address. September 11th, Enforcement Services provided the appellant with a copy of the contractor's original invoice at her request. I can advise that once again, to underline the fact that the MGA order, the 545 order, as well as the notice of entry and the non-compliance letter, including the final invoice, which is the only time that we ever received any correspondence from this appellant, were both mailed to the same address. In the appellant's package, there's a mentioning of a couple things. First of all, the fact that she didn't get a ticket because the approach that the appellant has taken is one in which a person normally would plead not guilty to a charge and request a trial. We did not charge anyone under the bylaw fines portion, this being the first part of the first year season enforcing it. So what we did was we sent an invoice to recover our costs, including the $250 service fees that are standard. That's the minimum fee that we could propose. And we did not, in addition to that, charge anybody with an offense. But the appellant asked why we didn't do that, which was an unusual question given the fact that she's objecting to the invoice itself. The appellant also claims that the photos that we sent of the lot before and after are the same. They are not. I will say that her lot was maybe not as bad as some, but that's because a portion of her lot was being cleaned by her neighbor for free for the past 3 years. And we received that information directly from the neighbor who called us after the appellant asked her neighbor for some money to offset this cost. So I would advise that some of that cleaning of her lot, a portion of it had been received for free from the neighbor who had no contact with her for the past 3 years. And you see some attachments there with regards to the evidence that we have before you. And all of this information was also provided in detail during that 90-minute in-person meeting. As of, I believe the appellant appeared before you a week or two ago. As of that date, we've had more than 80 emails, phone calls, meetings between the appellant and various members of a number of different departments with Leduc County, and that communication continues to grow. So that's my evidence today.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your due diligence and the information provided related to urban standards bylaw. And I will open the floor for any clarifying questions. A cat in the door, perhaps. Any clarifying questions at this time? Go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Again, just for clarifying, this is in the urban areas, New Sarepta, just the Vista areas where we've been having a lot of problems with on-kept lots over the last few years.
Absolutely. Yes.
Councillor Verde?
I had conversations with this appellant as well, just a statement. The initiative for an urban standards bylaw was effectively from the community itself. They wanted the cleaned up properties. They wanted these vacant lots to uphold the value of their home. So it was a community led initiative. And I don't think we did anything wrong in this matter whatsoever.
Counselor Lewis, and then I'll put myself in the queue.
I will say that we worked diligently and reviewed this bylaw before its inception and being passed. With every detail within it, we scrutinized and questioned and ran through scenarios. This bylaw is very important for Leduc County as we continue to grow in the Royal Oaks area. From the outline and your explanation, it looks like you followed and did everything possible to ensure that this landowner knew what was coming if they didn't follow suit. So if no one else does, I will put the recommendation forward.
No, thank you, Counselor Lewis. I'm actually I will put the motion on the floor. I believe strongly in the action that's here. So I will move that Leduc County Council deny the appellant's request to dismiss the MGA order to comply and deny the appellant's request to reduce or eliminate the landowner's invoice associated with recovering the costs incurred by the county to bring her undeveloped residential lot in Royal Oaks into compliance with Leduc County's Urban Standards Bylaw number 1422. In support of making that motion, I recall our public hearing where I would believe over 90% of the people who came in were addressing directly urban growth nodes like Royal Oaks and talking about the uncared for empty lots. You are required to take care of the land that you own in Leduc County, and whether you are a farmer with weeds or you live in an urban growth area and you're not complying to either garbage being picked up or in this case, the length of the lawn and the weeds that might be there, we will follow up. We believe strongly that the residents who are living there have a right to live in a nice, clean community, and this is not helping it at all. So hoping for support from my colleagues. Councillor Smith.
Just further question. So there were 37 owners of undeveloped lots that you originally had to send notices out to, and 15 failed to comply, and you had to do enforcement and cleaning on those. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Which tells me, again, it was probably the first time we've had a chance to go through and look at the community urban standards that we're looking for. So I will definitely be supporting that motion as well today. I think it's a start of probably seeing a lot less numbers going forward that require enforcement or effort on our part. Thank you.
I can advise also that that number is reduced the second time in August to 5.
Great. Good news. Good news. Any further comments, questions, or debate on the motion that is on the floor? Councillor Scobie?
Yes, at any point, like after the 30th deadline, at any point. At any point before July 17th, when you guys moved in there, they would have had the opportunity to go in and clean this up themselves, and then you wouldn't have done it, right?
Absolutely. In
So
fact, yeah.
it was quite obvious. They had noticed that they were going to be moving in there and doing this, and chose not to. Sounds like she was hoping for a $250 fine and just not bother to do it. So I would definitely support. We've made this bylaw. We need to stand behind it now.
Thank you. Comments, questions, debate? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? That is unanimous. We'll be denying the request. Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you.
On to 6D, which is a policy. And the policy is a new uncollectible receivables policy. Ms. Weiss, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council. I am here today with a new policy for the uncollectible receivables. So the intention of this policy is to establish some guidelines for the write-off of accounts receivable, property tax receivables, as well as utility receivables that have been deemed uncollected. So historically, each of those amounts have come to council regardless of the monetary value. By having this policy in place, it will save staff time preparing the recommendations and allow them to focus on some larger accounts. We have quite an extensive process within finance. We do calls, multiple letters, in interdepartmental coordination. So we'll work with other departments, as well as we send accounts to collections for a minimum of 1 year. So just to put a little bit into context, in 2021, council approved 125 individual accounts for a total of $382,000. Of those, 80% or 101 of them were less than $500 for a total value of $7,500. And of those 101, 49 of them were actually less than $10. So in 2022, we had 49 individual accounts written off for a total of 119,613,000. Of those, 28 were less than $500 for a total value of $5,749. So I wasn't intending to go through the policy in great detail. I will touch a little bit on the policy statement, how it commits, Leduc County commits to minimizing the impact of bad debts to the county through sound business practices and consistent procedures relating to collections. We have some definitions, and the most important part is probably that policy standards, where there are two different policy standards. That council will continue to approve any write-offs for individual accounts over $500. And the county manager or delegate will approve write-offs for individual accounts with balances under $500. On the process side, it speaks to when finance will deem accounts uncollectible. Number 2 speaks to some of the reasons why we would consider it. So for one of them, for example, is a declaration of bankruptcy, or that the debtor has deceased and there's nothing available from the estate. So we do try everything we can prior to deeming it uncollectible. And then the final page is the policy responsibilities. So I am here looking today for council's support to approve this policy. And if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Just go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Just for transparency, normally they come up on council agendas and they're public. I'm just wondering, items below $500, would that be a report back to council just for information and public record for people? I'm just worried about the transparency of it continuing.
My plan would be to have it in conjunction with the account over 500, so that council does get the opportunity to see what else was written off throughout that year.
Okay. Councillor Scobie is the chair of our policy committee. Anything you'd like to add, Councillor Scobie?
Yeah, we looked at this, and as our discussion earlier today, administration is spending time on these things. When you have a receivable that's $10 to $100, a couple $100, we rapidly spend more to try and recover that than what we do. So this, I think, is a good move to kind of eliminate some of the spending, throwing good money after bad, and just gives us an opportunity to put an end to some of these before we've got a whole bunch more spent on them. So.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lewis.
Just a clarification question. These are accounts that can't necessarily be placed on a tax roll for collection. Is that correct?
That's correct. If the account can be placed on tax roll, we will do so.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Looking for someone to make the recommendation. Councillor Scobie.
So let me read that in. Where is it?
It's on page 71.
Oh, get back here. Yeah, I would make the recommendation the council approve the uncollectible receivables policy FS06 as presented.
Thank you very much. And I did notice that Councillor Smith's question was answered in your responsibility under finance, is that it doesn't say, it does say that our yearly report would be brought, and we're just going to know, we now know it's all, not just over $500, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm not seeing any hands up for questions or debate, so I will call the question. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To the policy committee for your work on that. On to a review of a policy. Mr. Shadle's going to look at AS 01, which is our whistleblower policy. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Council. I'm here before you making a recommendation that Council approve the revised AS 01 whistleblower policy. As background, The policy was approved in December 2018 and was due to be reviewed on December 2022. As part of the administration's commitment to review and revise policies, the revised policy was brought forth to the Municipal Policy Review Committee's consideration on September 28th. The committee has reviewed the revised AS01 whistleblower policy and has referred it to council for approval. Some highlights of some changes that were made: changes to the wording to align to current policy preparation practices. Say that 3 times. Address a gap that was identified on how to address any complaints against the county manager. Other revisions were made to provide clarity on when external investigations would be conducted. You find attached the track changes and a clean copy with no track changes.
Okay, any questions on the policy? Just a comment, just a thing to point out is that, or maybe a question, Mr. Shadle, can residents access this and use this policy currently? Or is it just, I think it says that it is employees, municipal contractors, supervisors, managers, directors, and general managers. Is that correct?
I believe it's all the staff.
Staff
Staff or
and or
contractors.
contractors, correct?
Correct.
So it's not a whistleblower policy for the general public. It's very much an internal, how do we ensure that people feel safe with making a complaint here in our county?
That's correct.
Comments, questions? Anything to add? Councillor?
I guess not really. I think it's all there. It's just some clarity and wording, and the CO bit and the third party service provider is clarified, so it's all there, and it's just a little clearer than it was before.
Question to Mr. Coleman. Has the whistleblower policy been used in the past?
It has not, Madam Chair, or once, I guess.
It
Once
has
we-
been used once? Okay. And again, to all our staff, it is available there at a time when you feel that you have a complaint that you need to make, and we need to hear that. So please feel free to use it. It is here for your use. And with that, I will move that council approve revised AS01 whistleblower policy. Motion's on the floor. Any debate on the motion? I am seeing none. All in favor? That is unanimous. All right. The last item on our agenda today is FOIP, a personnel matter in FOIP, section 24 of FOIP. So I will be asking someone, counselor, to move us to go in camera. Counselor Smith will put us in our in camera. All in favor? Unanimous. And we will wait until we are off live stream before we begin our discussion on 7A. Very much. Thank you for bringing us back. Moved out of the camera. I'm totally able to because I was to the water stations or moving for that section. And with that, I will adjourn our meeting. Joining us today,